Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I plan on reading in October. Now, I was just about to say that I feel like I haven't filmed a sit-down video in a while for you guys, and thinking about it, I actually haven't. I feel like it's been quite a few weeks since I have filmed one, and I do apologise for that. Life has just been so chaotic and crazy right now. You probably will have seen if you watch any of my vlogs, but Tom and I have now moved house. We moved house in the last week of the summer holidays, and then the week after, I of course started my new job in secondary. Whilst I've been a teacher for 4 years, going into secondary has been so different. I feel like in some ways it's easier, but it's such a fast-paced environment that you genuinely don't have time for yourself during the day, and yeah, I have definitely found it quite hard to adjust to, but I will say I am enjoying myself and I am glad that I pushed myself to apply for this position. Saying that though, I am desperate to get back into filming videos for you guys. I've definitely missed it. I do have a backlog of videos that I'm working my way through editing right now. A lot of them are vlogs though, and I would like to try and film sit-down videos for you guys again and put them up every Sunday as I used to. So of course I'm kicking it off with the TBR, and this one is very exciting because not only is it spooky season, we also have another round of Becca's Spookopoly-thon. Now if you have no idea what Becca's Spookopoly-thon is, it is essentially a readathon hosted by Becca over at Becca and the Books here on YouTube, and it's all inspired by her old TBR game which is called Bookopoly. Now of course this one is a little bit different because it is happening in October, which is the spookiest month of them all. So we are once again having a spooky round of Bookopoly which is called Spookopoly-thon. Now I absolutely love taking part in this readathon. I feel like I've taken part in every single round, and I especially loved Spookopoly-thon at the last time I participated. So I am extremely excited to be participating once again this year. I will say though, I would normally set up my TBR at the start of the month, just so I know which books that I can fit into the different prompts and also how many books I'll be reading as well. But because I've been so busy and because I've been so tired during the week, I feel like I am actually going to roll as I go this round. Now I may end up regretting that decision, but I have been reading a book every weekend so far and that has been working well for me. So I am going to continue with that setup. I'm going to be filming reading vlogs every single weekend, and I may even try and do them during the week as well and give you guys some more. But I just thought it would be fun to roll as I go, and that way it's a bit more spontaneous. I can get through a few different books on my TBR as well, and it just keeps me wanting to read more so that I can roll more as well. Saying that though, I do have a big old stack of books here that you can probably see. Considering I have had one of the worst reading months of the year so far, last month, I am definitely being ambitious. Now this isn't to say that I'm going to read all the books in this stack. That's probably not going to happen, but these are the books that I would like to get to if I can. Of course, with me playing Spookopoly, it may differ. I may not get prompts that will fit these books, and so yeah, I am definitely being a bit more fluid with my TBR this month, but I do definitely have 3 books that I want to get to because these are books that I want to read for a specific vlog, and that is to read some books that are set in Egypt. I'm so excited, guys. I'm actually going to Egypt in November. I'm going on the 1st of November, so as soon as October finishes, I am going to be flying off to Egypt. And whilst I would love to read all the spooky books this month, I really do want to prioritise some books that are set in Egypt, one so that I can film a vlog for you guys, and 2 in order to get me excited, of course. So I am going to start off with these books and I'll move into the rest of the pile afterwards. Starting with a book that I couldn't possibly ignore, and that is The Red Pyramid, which is the first book in the Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. Now, Rick Riordan is most well known for the Percy Jackson series. However, he does have a trilogy which takes place in Egypt, and so of course I'm desperate to get to this one. I do have the other 2 books as well. I've owned them for so long because I am so interested in Egyptology. I always have been, and the history of Egypt as well. And because of that, I have owned these for years, but I've just never prioritised them. And I just thought, what better time than now? So that is why this is on the TBR. This already has me so intrigued because it just says, "My name is Carter Kane. I guess it started in London the night our dad blew up the British Museum. He exploded the ancient Rosetta Stone and unleashed Set, the Egyptian god of chaos." So Carter and his dad have to flee to Egypt in order to uncover their family's connection to an Egyptian temple of magic. And it seems as though the pharaohs of ancient Egypt are far from dead and buried, and so unfortunately are their gods. Doesn't give too much away, but honestly, I'm so excited to read this one. I loved the Percy Jackson books, and I just feel like this is going to be a really fun time, and it's going to be set in a country that I will be shortly visiting. Then next up I have The Crocodile Tomb, which is the 4th book in the Gods and Warrior series by Michelle Paver. Michelle Paver is once again a middle grade author who I have loved for years. She is actually the author that got me into reading. I read the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness series by her, the first book being Wolf Brother, and I just fell in love. I think I read it when I was in year 7 in school, so I must have been about 11 years old, and that series is still one that I reread every year. I absolutely love it. This is a different series by her though, and it actually takes place in ancient Greece. However, it's not the ancient Greece that we would think about today. It's actually set in the Bronze Age of ancient Greece, which is the time period before the Greek gods. This has definitely been an interesting series so far. As I said, this is the 4th book, and the fact that I'm reading this one, it was going to happen anyway, but this particular book out of the whole series is set in Egypt. I was going to read it last month, but I wanted to read it for this vlog, so I have put it off, but I'm so excited to dive into this one. I'm already familiar with the characters, the plot is really interesting, and the fact that we are going to ancient Greece is just so exciting for me. So yeah, that is why I have this one on the TBR. In the first book though, we follow our main character Hylas, and unfortunately one day when him and his sister are out playing, a group of people attack them and they are both separated. Hylas then sets out to find his sister, and he finds himself travelling across the hostile mountains and treacherous seas of ancient Greece, and he of course meets some people along the way, including some animal companions and a young girl named Pia who is trying to flee from her fate. I can't tell you too much about this book in particular, 1 because I haven't read it, and 2 because I obviously don't want to spoil anything for you, but this series is such a great one. As I said, this is one I'll definitely fly through because I know that these are books that I just devour. But yeah, how coincidental is it that the next book I was going to read was going to be one set in Egypt and I didn't even know. So this has now made it onto my set TBR for October, and once again I can't wait to get to it. Then the final book I'm going to put on my set TBR is The Jassad Heir by Sarah Hashem. This was a book featured in a Fairy Loot box a few months ago now, and I haven't read it before because I wanted to save it and read it just before going away to Egypt, and so that is why this one is on the TBR. All I know is that this is set in Egypt. I genuinely don't know anything else, so I will just read you the synopsis. It says, 10 years ago, the kingdom of Jassad burned. Its magic was outlawed, its royal family murdered down to the last child. At least, that's what Sylvia wants most people to believe. The lost heir of Jassad, Sylvia never wants to be found. She can't think about how Nizar's armies destroyed her kingdom and continue to hunt its people. Not if she wants to stay alive. But when Arin, the Nizal heir, tracks a group of Jassadi rebels to her village, staying one step ahead of death gets trickier. In a moment of anger, Sylvia reveals her magic and captures Arin's attention. Now to save her life, she'll have to make a deal with her greatest enemy. If she helps him lure the rebels, Sylvia will escape persecution. A deadly game begins. Sylvia can't let Arin discover her identity, even as hatred shifts into something more. But her secret isn't as hidden as she thinks. Soon, Sylvia will have to choose between the life she wants and the one she left behind. The Scorched Kingdom is rising, and it needs a queen. That sounds phenomenal. It doesn't mention Egypt at all in the synopsis, but I'm pretty sure that this is set in Egypt, at least partly. So once again, I am very excited to be diving into this one. I've heard really good things. I believe the sequel is coming out very soon as well, so hopefully I will enjoy this one so that I can pick that one up. But yeah, I've been desperate to read this one ever since I received it, and now the time is here, and yeah, I'll definitely be sharing my thoughts on this one with you guys in that vlog. I do just quickly want to mention as well that I may be reading What the River Knows by Isabella Banez in this month. However, it may get pushed back into November because that's the book that Gavin chose to read whilst we're away in Egypt. I am going as part of Gavin's Trova Trip group, and so of course he had to get a book thrown in there, and yeah, I just think that is going to be a really good book to read. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to read it before going or not. I feel like it would make more sense to read it before, but we'll see. I know Gavin's reading it on the playing there, and yeah, we're going to kind of discuss it once we're there and once we have some free time. So I did just want to mention it in case I get around to reading that one, but if not, it will be getting read in November. Right, moving into some spookier books for this season. Again, these aren't set in stone, they're just a few books that I've pulled off my shelves in order to put them on my radar, because there are some on here that I've owned for a while, and every year Halloween rolls around and I say I'm going to read them and then I never do. So again, I've put them on this TBR. I'm really hoping I can get to them because I feel like it's about time. The first one is a thriller, and that is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is one of those books that I've just owned for the longest time and I haven't picked up. I feel like I'm just a bit scared. This is going to be my first Riley Sager book. I am a scaredy cat when it comes to my thrillers, and I feel like this is more on the horror side as well, so I've just been a bit wary. But the synopsis for this one reads, 25 years ago, Maggie Holt and her parents moved into a rambling Victorian estate called Bainbury Hall. They spent 3 weeks there before fleeing in the dead of night, an ordeal her father recounted in a spooky memoir that became a worldwide phenomenon. She may have been too young to really remember what's happened, but Maggie doesn't believe a word of her father's book. Ghosts, after all, don't exist. But now Maggie is back at Bainbury Hall and is beginning to believe that there might have been some truth in the fiction. That, either way, someone or something doesn't want her here, and that she might be in danger all over again. Now, I don't feel like that gives anything away except that we have a haunted house as a setting. I will say I've heard a few mixed things about Riley Sager's works as well. His newest book isn't all that popular, but I can't say that I've heard anything in particular about this book. So I am hoping to read it. Whether or not I finish it is anyone's guess, but it is on this TBR. I am hoping I will get to it, and the fact that it's a thriller as well is going to most likely mean that it's a fast-paced book, which is definitely what I need right now. The next book I have here is A Multitude of Dreams by Mara Rutherford. This is a more recent addition to the bookshelves, however, I have now owned it for a few months. All I know about this one is that it's inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. I'm not going to read you the synopsis, but Rebecca Ross has a quote on the back here that says, a spellbinding tale woven with horror and hope that will linger with readers long after the final page. And there's another one here by Lyndall Clipstone that says, A Multitude of Dreams immerses you in lush, grotesque glamour, a world of decaying gothic manners and sinister monsters, where suspenseful horror is threaded with an undercurrent of determination and hope. That has me sold. Of course, when you think of Edgar Allan Poe, you think of all things gothic, and so I definitely feel like that will be the vibe of this book, and it will just be perfect to read it during the spooky month. It is also a shorter book. I think it's just over 300 pages, and that bodes well for me because, yeah, I've just been in a very weird reading mood recently. I haven't been wanting to pick up books, and the books that I have been reading just haven't gripped me, so I'm hoping that this one will. A very recent addition to my shelves is Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. Now, I do own this one on my Kindle. However, this gorgeous hardcover edition came out and I did have it pre-ordered, and now it's finally gotten here. I read the first book in the series, which is The Serpent and the Wings of Night, in March of this year, and I had such a good time with it. However, for some reason, I never carried on with the second book or the novella, so this is actually the novella, which is why it's a lot shorter. I do think you're meant to read this between the first and second book, which is why I've put this one in particular on my TBR. But another reason why I've put it on my TBR is because this features vampires, as does the first and second book in this series. And again, it's spooky season. I feel like that would be perfect to read, and who knows, I may even jump into the second book as well once I finish this one, because the first book ended on such a cliffhanger and I genuinely don't know how I haven't picked up the second book yet. But I do have this one in between those to read, and I just don't know what to expect. So there is a little snippet at the bottom here that says Six Scorched Roses is a standalone fantasy romance set in the world of the Crowns of Nyaxia series. So I don't think you actually need to read this in any particular order, and it's not gonna follow on directly from the ending of the first book. So I think I'll still read it this month, but just for your information, you don't actually need to read this one in order to finish off the duology. Okay, I'm reading the synopsis now, and I just have to read this to you because it sounds so good. It says 6 roses, 6 vials of blood, 6 visits to a vampire who could be her salvation or her damnation. Lilith has been dying since the day she was born, but while she has come to terms with her own imminent death, the death of everyone she loves is an entirely different matter. As her town slowly withers in the clutches of a mysterious god-sent illness, she decides to take matters into her own hands. Desperate to find a cure, Lilith strikes a bargain with the only thing the gods hate even more than her village, a vampire. She offers him 6 roses in exchange for 6 vials of vampire blood. The the one hope for a town's salvation. But when what began as a simple transaction becomes something more, Lilith is faced with a terrifying realization. It's dangerous to wander into the clutches of a vampire, and in a place already suffering a god's wrath, more dangerous still to fall in love with one. I'm sold, guys. I can't wait to read this one. It's just over 200 pages. I do have it on my Kindle as well, so I will probably fly through this one. I'm very happy to have the physical edition now though, as I said, and after reading my first Carissa Broadbent book a few months ago, I just can't wait to dive back into this world. And then the final two books I'm going to talk about in this TBR, I know, I feel like it's been such a long one, I do apologise, but these are both books by Grady Hendrix, and that's mainly because I've owned these for years now and I've just never prioritised them. So I have put them in this video to kind of hold myself accountable. We have the Final Girl support group and also the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, both by the same author as I've just said. It's honestly been so long now since I bought these that I don't remember anything about them. For the Final Girl support group, there is a little snippet. It says, in horror movies, the final girl is the one who's left standing when the credits roll. The one who fought back, defeated the killer and avenged her friends. The one who emerges bloodied but victorious. But after the sirens fade and the audience moves on, what happens to her? So our main character in this one survived a massacre 22 years ago, and of course it's defined her life ever since. And for more than a decade she's been meeting with 5 other final girls and the therapist in a kind of support group for people who have survived similar encounters. All of them start to trust each other and they do feel like they get so much out of this support group. However, one day one of the women doesn't show up and our main character's worst fears are realised because someone knows about the group and is determined to take their lives apart again, piece by piece. And then all I know about the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires is, you guessed it, it's a book about vampires. This has a very, very long synopsis, so I'm not going to read all of it to you. But this is a book that features some meetings of their own again. The only difference is that in this case, our main character goes to a book club. Saying that though, the women of this book club are as likely to talk about the Manson family as they are about their own families because they are all into true crime. And one evening after a book club, our main character is attacked by an elderly neighbour and it brings her into the path of James, who is the neighbour's nephew. It says, James is well travelled and well read and he makes Patricia feel things she hasn't felt in years. But when children on the other side of town go missing, their dad's written off by local police. Patricia has reason to believe James Harris is more of a Bundy than a Brad Pitt. The real problem, James is a monster of a different kind and Patricia has already invited him in. Little by little, James will insinuate himself into Patricia's life and try to take everything she took for granted, including the book club. But she won't surrender without a fight in this blood-soaked tale of neighbourly kindness gone wrong. So again, that does sound very interesting. I feel like out of both of these, I am gravitating more towards the Final Girl support group. However, please do let me know what you thought of these if you read them. Spoiler free, of course, but which one should I prioritise? Which one did you get on with better? In an ideal world, I'd love to read both. However, I am not sure if I will manage to do that. So I'm probably going to read one or the other for this month. If I do manage to read another one, that would be great, but I don't want to set my expectations too high because, yeah, as I've said, I've just not been in the reading mood recently and this new job has definitely taken it out of me. But there we have it, guys. These are the books that are on my October TBR. As I've said, it's not set in stone. The top 3 definitely are because I would love to read them this month and I feel like I am going to prioritise them. However, all the spooky books could change. I did just want to mention a few that I'm interested in though so that you guys can get an idea of what I am gravitating towards at the minute. But of course, when you're playing Spookopoly, anything can happen and I may get prompts that will make me have to pick up a load of different books. If you have made it this far through into the video and would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and leave me a crocodile as an emoji. You guys are sick of hearing me say it now, but I am going to Egypt and of course there are a lot of crocodiles in Egypt. I'm actually hoping that I'll see some Nile crocodiles, however I don't want to get too close to them, so yeah, I think that would be a good emoji. As well as that, the Michelle Paver book that I'm planning on reading is called The Crocodile Tomb and it has a croc on the cover as well, so I just feel like that would be a fitting emoji to sum up this video. I know I say it all the time, but seeing you guys comment the emoji of the video truly does mean the world to me. It blows me away that you guys watch these all the way through, so if you are still here but don't have anything you'd like to say, please go ahead and comment that now. As well as that, please don't forget to click the like button if you like this video and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. Like I said earlier, I am hoping hoping to film a lot of vlogs over the next few weeks because I'm going to be rolling as I go with Spookopoly. I feel like it just makes the most sense, and that will, as I've said, hopefully spur me on to read some more and create more content for you. And you definitely don't want to miss that, guys. So please do make sure to click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you guys will be notified when my videos go live. But that is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for being patient with me these last few weeks and for sitting through what is probably a very long video. I'm hoping that I can get back into the swing of things when it comes to filming and reading, because I have missed creating content for you guys. I felt very isolated from the bookish community recently because I've just been so absent on social media. So it has felt nice to sit down and film, even though I'm definitely rambling. But yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you before I close off this video. Your support truly does mean the world to me. I wouldn't be doing this without you guys, and after taking a bit of time for myself, I am definitely ready to get back to creating content for you. So that is it from me today, guys. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!